Salutations to all our future judges. In this video, we are going to see how to prepare for civil judge exams preliminary part 6. Already 5 parts have been published. Those who have not seen those 5 parts, please watch those 5 parts and then you can come and watch this 6th part so that you get continuity of what has been stated. The link for those 5 parts are given in the iCard as well as in the description. In this video, I have given some mathematical calculation based on the pattern which could help you in getting 100% success in civil judge exams. And in this previous year question papers 2018 and 2019 of Tamil Nadu has been taken for analysis. However, the pattern can be used for other states as well. Now, coming to the 2018 question paper, questions have been asked from Civil Procedure Code. 12 questions have been asked. Rent Control Act, 3 questions have been asked. General Knowledge, 10 questions. Constitution of India, 19 questions. Indian Penal Code, 12 questions. Criminal Procedure Code, 9 questions. Indian Contract Act, 8 questions. Indian Evidence Act, 12 questions. Specific Relief Act, 4 questions. Negotiable Instruments Act, 4 questions. And POSCO Act, 1 question. And Transfer of Property Act, 6 questions. So this would give you a clear idea as to how you should analyze any question paper of any state. First, you need to know from which act it has been asked. And then subsequent to that, you need to know from which chapter it has been asked, from which section it has been asked, and what is the explanation or example which is given. So all these aspects will give you a clear idea as to how the questions are being framed. Now, we are seeing the 2019 question paper. We are analyzing that. We are going to see how many questions were asked from each act in the 2019 question paper in Tamil Nadu for the civil judge exam conducted by Tamil Nadu Public Service Commission. So the first one is Civil Procedure Code. In Civil Procedure Code, they've asked 10 questions. In Rent Control Act, they've asked just 1 question, and in General Knowledge, they've asked only 1 question. In Constitution of India, they've asked 13 questions. In Indian Penal Code, they've asked 15 questions. In Criminal Procedure Code, they've asked 12 questions. Indian Contract Act, they've asked 15 questions. Indian Evidence Act, 11 questions. And in Specific Relief Act, they've asked 2 questions. And in Negotiable Instruments Act, they've asked 3 questions. And in POSCO Act, they've asked 0 questions. No questions were asked actually. And in Transfer of Property Act, there were 8 questions. And from Commercial Codes Act, they've asked 1 question. And in Reasoning and Mental Ability, they've asked 3 questions. And Juvenile Justice Act, they've asked 2 questions. And in Information Technology Act, they've asked 3 questions. So this would give you a clear idea as to how many questions were asked from each act in the previous year question papers. And you would see there is a great difference between the 2018 question paper and the 2019 question paper. Day by day, you can understand that each and every exam is getting tough. So you need to prepare meticulously for each and every exam. Next is pattern analysis of a civil judge exam question paper 2019. I have taken the Tamil Nadu question paper for analysis. However, these patterns are generally common for many of the civil judge exams conducted across many states in India. So this pattern can be used for other states as well. First one is they'll put a puzzling or a baffling question so that they'll ensure that you lose your confidence. When the competition is high, they do all these tactics. And second is they'll ask you to select the correct statement. So what happens is they'll give you a question, and beneath that question they'll give 3 statements or 4 statements or 5 statements, and they will ask you to select those statements which are correct. For example, they'll give like Statement 1, Statement 2, Statement 5 is correct. Statement 3, Statement 4, Statement 5 is correct. None of the statement is correct. All of the statements are correct. They'll ask you questions like this. So in Tamil Nadu question paper, they've asked 24% questions like this. Totally there are 24 questions in this type. Next is detailed or complex. The question itself will be very lengthy and it will be more complex. Sometimes it may be in 2 sentences, but still it could be complex. So they could ask questions like this. This would confuse you, and this will ensure that you land in the wrong answer. So they asked 28% of such questions in the 2019 question paper. Next is the case laws or judgments. Generally, questions are asked from case laws or judgments. However, the questions pertaining to case laws and judgments need not be specifically with respect to Supreme Court or with High Courts. It can be even from the Privy Council period. And in some cases, they won't even say that the question is from a case law. They'll directly give you the points from the case law and ask you to give an answer to it. So you need to know that these questions have been asked from the case law. And in this case, they have asked 3 questions, which is 3%. Next is mental ability. In some states, the mental ability, they give more importance. The total question they've asked is just 3 questions. And direct questions, they've asked nearly 29%. Direct questions are comparatively easy because once you know the subject, you can give an answer directly. Next is, they've asked questions to state which is not true or which is incorrect. That is around 12%. Such questions are asked to ensure that you don't answer it correct. For example, generally our mindset is that we'll always think when a question is asked, we'll try to take the correct answer. So what they are trying to do is they are trying to reciprocate the process. They are trying to reverse the process, saying that you say which is not correct. So this would cause a confusion to a candidate, and particularly with the exam tension, there is a good chance that you will get confused. Now let us analyze the pattern or the format of question. So if the question is kind of puzzling or baffling, what happens is it shatters your confidence. It makes you feel that you're not studied properly, or it makes you feel that you're not capable of answering these questions. So when the competition is high or when the competition is more, such questions are posted or such questions are given to shatter your confidence. And in some cases, they ask you to select the correct statement, which I explained some time back. So what happens is these kinds of questions takes away your time. You may be in the position to answer these questions, but you need to study the question itself, then you need to study the statement, then you need to understand which statement is correct. For example, there may be 5 statements. Out of 5 statements, 3 may be correct, or 4 may be correct, or even all of them may be correct, but you need to know which one is correct. So what happens is when you read all these statements as well as the question as well as the answer, it takes much of your time. Then the next category is detailed or complex questions. So in this, what happens is the question itself will be so lengthy that it will take much of your time, and in some cases it could be just within 2 lines, but still it could be complex. So what happens is it will first take away your time, then subsequently it will confuse you and land you in the wrong answer. Then case laws and judgments. Pertaining to case laws and judgments, you should have studied the entire case law, then only you can answer it properly. Just by knowing the cause title, you cannot answer a question if questions are asked from case law. Then the 5th one is mental ability. Generally, the candidates who are preparing for the civil judge exam, they don't get trained in the problems pertaining to mental ability. Since the questions are very less in number, at least pertaining to Tamil Nadu state. In some states, they give more importance to mental ability and aptitude and reasoning and other aspects. But generally, if you are not trained in mental ability, it will be difficult for you to attempt a question because you are unprepared. So there is a good chance that you could give a wrong answer. The 6th one is comparatively easy standard of question, which is called as direct questions. So in this, if you fail to recollect, you may give a wrong answer. For example, you might have studied some subject and you may not be in a position to recollect exactly what it said. Then in that case, even in direct questions, there is a possibility that you could give a wrong answer. And with respect to non-true or incorrect answers which are expected, for example, they'll give a question asking you to point out or to select the answer which is incorrect. So what happens is you cannot shade the answer without knowing the correct answers. For example, if 4 choices are given, you need to know which 3 are correct. Then only you can answer which is incorrect. So you need to know which is not correct and you need to know which is correct. If, for example, if you know that a particular thing is not correct, you can straight away go and answer it, subject to the condition that you are not confused with the other 3 options. It is very important. Coming to the next point, which is a major pattern classification of questions. Generally, what they do is when they ask a question, they give answer saying like section so and so of Indian Evidence Act, section so and so of Indian Contract Act, section so and so of Transfer of Property Act. In the same question, you will have 4 options where each and every option will be saying a different act. So this creates an ambiguity or a confusion in your mind as to in which act this question falls. So they'll try to confuse you by giving some such questions. So you need to be sure that this question falls under Indian Evidence Act or Indian Contract Act or Transfer of Property Act. The reason why I'm saying this is many of these acts are more interconnected, so this could create a confusion in your mind. Next is testing your understanding capabilities. What they do is in preliminary exams, generally they'll check what is your capability to understand a thing. When a subject is set to you, how do you understand that? How you perceive things in that particular question? Then they test your memory. For example, they'll ask a question like, which section says so? Or they'll give a statement and say like, this is said in dash section of so and so act. So this is a place where they test your memory. And in some cases, being a practicing advocate, they can even test your practical skill levels. So what is your practical skill? You have been practicing, so you should know when a problem is given to you, how you will solve it and what are all the laws involved in it, and what are the sections involved in it, and what are all the case laws connected to it. All these aspects you need to know. And the next thing is they test your reading speed, because as I told you, in preliminary exam, you get just 100 seconds to read a question and answer a question. So you need to be extremely fast in reading a question and understanding that question as well. And they test your accuracy in answering, because in majority of the cases, out of 4 choices, 2 choices will be very close. So you need to be accurate in answering. Next is they analyze your capabilities, what you're capable of. For example, you may know that it is falling under one section, but you don't know how to apply that section in a practical problem. So they'll be testing your analyzing capabilities in this regard. Next is some simple tips for clearing the civil judge exams. When you're preparing for civil judge exams, please don't prepare for civil judge exams, but prepare for higher judicial exams, that is district judge. When you prepare for higher judicial exams, that is district judge, it will be easy for you to clear a civil judge exam. For example, a person who is preparing for IAS exam clears Group 1 exam very easily, because he has prepared himself for a tougher job. So easy job will be easy for him. And next is always start early. Don't start late. When you start early, you can study slowly and you can do it consistently. In case if you are late, if you are starting late, then you can adapt faster learning techniques, such as listening to the 10 minutes lecture series in this channel repeatedly. And this would help you to learn acts very quickly. And you can listen to act related videos. There are so many videos which are coming up pertaining to certain acts or certain provisions of any act. So in all these cases, you can listen to those videos and you can start writing what they are saying. So what will happen is it will increase your writing speed and your language capabilities. And another aspect is always listen to fast videos and try to understand them. For example, in 10 minutes lecture series, the entire act has been explained in just 10 minutes, which means within 10 minutes you should understand that act. That is the intention. So if you try to listen to it again and again, and these fast videos will ensure that your brain is tuned to faster aspects, and it will increase your understanding and analyzing speed as well. Because in preliminary exam, your understanding and analyzing speed should be fast, and that is what is expected. And another aspect is you can never say what question will be asked in an exam in any state, but the patterns can very well be determined. For example, I have analyzed the pattern and I have given the patterns with respect to Tamil Nadu exams. You can have the same pattern analysis pertaining to other states as well if you want. And patterns of question and the pattern of question shows you how many candidates are competing. For example, if there are very less number of people who are competing, then there is a good possibility that the exam could be simple or more direct questions could come. If there is more competition, then the questions could be much more complicated. And many have been asking a question as to what book they should read for the judicial exams. Always remember, for preliminary exam, direct is the best option. And you need to study the latest judgments of High Court and Supreme Court as well. No other books are generally required with respect to preliminary exam. However, if you are preparing for main exams, prefer books with commentaries. That will always be a better option. And while preparing for preliminary itself, you start preparing for main exam. This already I have told you. So you can have the books with commentary as well. In case if you read a barrett and if you don't understand, you can refer to the book with commentary or with examples. Then you can understand that act or particular section, and it will be helpful to you in the main exam as well. In my next video, I am planning to put a practically executable timetable which you can use on a daily basis or on a weekly basis depending on your own personal requirement, and you can succeed in the civil judge exam. And if you have any queries pertaining to the videos what I posted all these days, the previous parts, or pertaining to the civil judge exam, you can feel free to ask those questions. I'll try to answer those questions as well in the video, provided the questions are asked immediately after posting of this video. If you like the video, please do subscribe to the channel by pressing the red color subscribe button and select all to receive the notification. Please ensure that your notification is on in the YouTube channel, and do share the video to those who are in need of such videos. If you like the video, please do press the thumbs up button. Your comments are most welcome in this channel. If you feel that I have left out something, or if you want me to post a video on certain subject, please let me know in the comments. I'll try my level best to post a video on that particular subject as well. Let us join hands together and contribute for a learned society. Thank you.